The agents asked to look at his phone. He let them. He then told the agents that he uses his phone to view and abuse CSAM material. What? And there may be some images on the phone. He's like, also, I've got CP on there. Take a look. Those agents saw it. Several images on the phone of prepubescent girls scantily dressed. Oh my gosh. George Zinn, a very interesting character on scene at the Charlie Kirk assassination, has now been charged in 2 cases, one involving obstruction of justice for what happened on the scene, as you see, right outside where Charlie was killed. But the next one is also about other evidence that was discovered on this dude's cell phone that leads to other felony charges for exploitation of a minor ×4. Now, we've got the documents, the charging materials that we'll read through to see exactly what happened in these messages and ask ourselves whether this dude is ultimately an accessory after the fact. Because after Charlie Kirk was killed, this guy was dropping to his knees, screaming, "I'm the shooter," making it difficult for the cops to react because they thought it was him. It wasn't him. What was he doing and why was he doing it? Someone who committed a crime he knew, and he assisted them knowing that they committed a crime. He may not have known their names per se, but he was intentionally had knowledge this person committed a crime, tried to help this person avoid arrest and punishment, and is an accessory after the fact. So we'll see if there is more than obstruction of justice or if the feds want to take this or whatever, but it's not just him, right? We're asking about a bunch of other people who kept this dude out of the limelight for 33 hours. But the Utah County Sheriff came out and they explained the following for us. They said, here is the latest. Now, the arrest and the booking of George Zinn for obstruction of justice and possession of CSAM. Writing, on 9/10 in Utah, Zinn was attending an event where a shooting occurred. Shortly after that, while people were fleeing, Zinn was seen yelling, saying, "I had shot Charlie Kirk." Now, the police took Zinn into custody. They transported him back. He was not cooperative, and he did not want to speak with investigators at all. He then began to have a medical issue, like heart attack, and was transported to a local hospital. Now, while at the hospital, he did freely state, "I'm not the shooter," but admitted he yelled to hinder law enforcement, right, to help this assassin escape. Now, while Zinn was at the hospital, an FBI agent and an agent from the Utah State Bureau of Investigation met with Zinn, who agreed to speak with them concerning the matter. Zinn admitted that he had yelled that he was the shooter to allow the actual suspect to flee and to hinder law enforcement. And during this interview, the agents asked to look at his phone. He let them. He then told the agents that he uses his phone to view and abuse CSAM material. What? And there may be some images on the phone. He's like, also, I've got CP on there. Take a look. Those agents saw it. Several images on the phone of prepubescent girls scantily dressed. Oh my gosh. Now, at that time, the Special Victims Unit detectives, they were asked to take the matter over because there's child crimes, as the other agents were needed to help with the shooting. On 9/15, a search warrant was obtained for his phone. And during a preliminary review of the phone, they viewed 20 images of children ranging from 5 to 12 years old in various stages of undress and posing. There were several very graphic sexual text threads in which Zinn shared the images with others. He admitted to investigators that he gets gratification from viewing these, and he likes 5 to 12. What the hell? He's currently being held in Utah County Jail for second-degree felony obstruction and second-degree felony exploitation of a minor ×4. At this time, there was no information that he actually colluded with the shooter, like specifically, just helping them from afar. Zinn was in attendance and intentionally yelled he was the shooter, and by doing so, he obstructed law enforcement from focusing on the actual shooter. And the investigation into the CSAM stuff is ongoing, but here is what they write in the obstruction charge. Okay, so this is the first obstruction case and the probable cause statement. So on September 10th, this guy's called Detective Dutson. He was on duty working in Valley University. He was stationed at the back of the venue to stop anyone from entering the event. He writes, at about 12:20 p.m., I heard what sounded like a single gunshot. He was there at 11. I immediately observed patrons attending the event starting to run in every direction. And so I observed a person lying on the ground, and it appeared people were attending to the person. I started to work my way through the crowd that was running from the area. I was approached by an elderly male that was later identified as George Zinn. This dude runs up, immediately starts yelling at me, this detective, "I shot him. Now shoot me." I could see both of his hands and I could not see a weapon. He again stated, "I shot him. Now shoot me." I then advised him, "You're under arrest," and he was placed into handcuffs. I asked the suspect, "Where's the gun?" He stated, "I'm not going to tell you." I did a quick search of his person, did not feel or find a weapon. I then started to escort George to a patrol car. car that was at the back of the venue. He continued to state that he shot the individual, Charlie, and to just shoot him. He was placed in a patrol car. Officer Wallace and I transported him to the Utah Valley University Police Department. And that video is linked up over here, over on the day of the shooting. Okay, people very upset, obviously. And he keeps dropping, okay? Drops to his knees, drops to his knees. They got to pick him up. His pants are falling down. Drops to his knees again. Finally, they got to pick him up. Another cop grabs his legs.
He said he shot him, but I don't know, dude.
Said he shot him, but I don't know. Okay, so one of those might be the detectives who is actually writing this report, who was explaining that. And here's what he said. I then advised him he's under arrest. He's placed in the handcuffs. Where is the gun? I'm not going to tell you. Then transported him to the hospital. When we arrived at the police department, I attempted to interview George Zinn. Before advising him of his right, he stated he wanted an attorney. So at that point, I advised George. I did not think he was the one who did the shooting. But since he wanted an attorney, I could not talk to him. Then at that point, he advised, he says, I'm already going to be in trouble for saying I shot him, even if I did not. I did not ask him any more questions at that point since he wanted a lawyer. He stated on his own that he did not shoot the individual, just started talking, and he stated that he did it to draw attention from the real shooter. Now, due to a medical condition, George was transported to the hospital. Officer remained with him in the emergency room. And during this time, George made statements to the officer that he was glad that he said that he shot the individual so the real suspect could get away. He also stated to officers that he wanted to be a martyr for the person who was shot. George was admitted to the hospital. They stated they would contact law enforcement when he was released. On September 15th, he was released from the hospital, transported back to jail. I booked him on the charges below. Now, the suspect, while at the even, made statement that he did the shooting, which delayed and took up law enforcement resources, and therefore George Zinn is being booked into the county jail for second-degree felony. This was committed during the act of murder of Charlie Kirk. I submit this affidavit under penalty of perjury signed by Michael Dutson. And that's just on the obstruction charge. We also have the exploitation charge, and this is the probable cause statement for this. On 9/10, the day Charlie was murdered, I arrived and began searching for a suspect. I was clearing buildings and evacuating students. When the shooting occurred, a male was taken into custody in the university courtyard. Male identified as George Zinn. George claimed to have shot Charlie Kirk. Officer subdued him, placed him into handcuffs. Dutson is the officer that took him into custody. Now, Zinn was initially taken to the police department, transported back to the hospital, chest pain. And while at the hospital, he said, yep, I said what I said because I wanted to draw attention away from the real shooter so I could help the shooter get away. So then investigators responded to the hospital. They started to talk to him. FBI agents appeared on scene. Agent Hyman and Agent Hansen, Hyman and Hansen showed up, conducted an interview with George. George, typo, was read his Miranda warning and interviewed. In this interview, George admitted that he was not the shooter. Toward the end of the interview, the agents asked to go into his phone, and George said, sure. The agents asked if there would be anything illegal in the phone. Anything in there that we should know about before you just give us permission to use it? He says, yeah, I used the phone to look at CSAM material. The agents sat with George briefly and looked through some of the phone's contents. The photos contained images of female children, prepubescent, 5 years old, dressed in underwear. George told investigators that he was aroused by young kids, and due to the events at the time, the phone was seized, and the interview terminated shortly after. A referral was made to the sheriff. Now, George admitted that there was CSAM on his phone and stated that he would often delete it because I know I could get in trouble for it, man. And I don't know what the Utah laws are, but in Arizona, man, per image, every image stacks. Now, I was assigned to investigate this case and coordinated with another detective, and I reviewed the contents of the phone. After we got the search warrant, I observed many images of young female children as child erotica. One definition is non-pornographic material related to this that is used for gratification. The images almost always depict children posed in swimsuits, underwear, or other compromising positions. Gosh. There are more than 20 images on George's phone in the images section. These images are copied and reused more than 50 times in separate conversations with other PDF files. George is sending these images in over 5 conversations saying that they are his daughters, asking people to, Jesus. So George, he's having these text messages. See if there's any ... in these. We don't see anything there. Says here, George is sending, he says, sweet name withheld 5. Sends photos, unknown number says, wow, disgusting language, horrific, not even gonna read it. I observed in the sent images section of George's cell phone 4 images. The following descriptions of them exist. And we've got, genitals exposed and all sorts of just horrific things. So he's going to prison for a long time. The additional 3 CSAM images are being sent and received by George in a similar manner to other conversations. His phone is going to be forensically downloaded. He was released from the hospital, transported back to jail. Charges now 4 counts, exploitation of a minor. I request that he be held without bail because he is actively seeking contact with young female children. He's discussing these acts and more. Is horrific. So signed by Caden Cook, and they got that dude pretty dead to rights on that stuff. So here is the public safety assessment report, which obviously this dude is a bad dude. Age at the current arrest, 71. Current violent offense, no. Pending charges at the time of the offense, yes. Prior misdemeanor, yes. Prior felony convictions, they say no. But a prior conviction is yes. So he has no prior felonies? That's pretty interesting based on his history. So prior failure to appear, yeah, 4 times. Prior fail to appear older than 2 years, yes. Prior sentence to incarceration, yes. And so you can see he is way higher up right here. You're going to put him on maximum conditions and hold him without bail. So don't let him out. And of course, they're not going to do that. So he's being held without bail on both counts, one for the obstruction charge and probably not getting out of custody anytime soon. So that's the case with this guy, and some strange stuff. And it's weird that, when these Democrats come out of the woodwork, it's like Kyle Rittenhouse. Remember him? He showed up, he shot 3 people, and they were one was a burglar, one was a pedophile, and one was a rapist or whatever. I forget what the actual charges were, but remember that? They're just kind of everywhere. Where are these people? Why are they here at this event, right? Obviously, they're just trying to muck things up. And this guy is now being charged. The CSAM stuff is probably going to result in him going away forever, and the obstruction charge isn't going to help. But is he an accessory after the fact? Were there others in the crowd? Did the shooter have any actual help? We'll keep our eye on it, my friends. Thanks for subscribing and joining as we do.